So hello, it's the middle of October 2025. We are looking at the Acasis Thunderbolt 4 mini dock. It's actually called a Thunderbolt dual-drive enclosure docking station, and the part number is TBU405Pro Max. Now, this is part of the master plan to actually get back to a fast interface on my workstation. I used to have a spinning disk cabinet connected with Thunderbolt to my Apple workstation, and then I changed that to a solid state array, but unfortunately connected via USB-C 10 gigabit per second interface. And since I've got these two new super expensive Lexar M2 drives, they were not cheap, but they were on a bargain at Amazon Day, so I saved about £100 in total. This is the device that's going to attach everything in the new world if it works. So what do I get for my approximately £150 on AliExpress? I get this dock, this power supply with the wrong European connector, some instructions telling me how to connect it to Mac OS or Windows, 2 bits of plastic which I think allow you to attach a smaller M2 drive, and some sticky heatsink pads which I may or may not use. I'm not keen on sticky heatsink pads because once you've put them on you can't get them off, and if you try to get them off they can break the drives. So this device has a fan, and so I'm hoping I may not need it. So let's see. Let's get the pieces out of the way that I don't need. I get a Thunderbolt 4 40 gigabits per second cable. I get a USB to USB-C. I get the 100 watt, quite heavy, wrong cabled power brick, which ironically has got like a bit of plastic here. So had they given me more than one bit of plastic, I could have attached a UK plug. Never mind. My 2 drives, which will be out of camera. Let's try and open this. Now, I couldn't open it before, I had to read the manual. So this is the device, and we are going to lift this up. As you can see, it's really easy. And then it comes off. Okay. So I shouldn't need any of this malarkey. Let's put those rubber bits here. These can go. We're left with the drive, Thunderbolt enclosure. So, not done this before. Let's see how quick we can establish. So these all bits look exactly the same. So that must surely go in there, and it's going to plonk into this. So these rubber grommet type things aren't multi-use. So it's not like you can put this in and out many times. The grommet will not hold. So that goes in there. It goes down there, and yeah, not that satisfactory, is it really? Yeah, it's not looking great, is it? Let's try it without the drive. It's a bit I've just reviewed another interface and it's similarly rubbish. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, that's kind of in, mostly. Okay, now that's in, but there's no drive. Okay, stay cool. Second drive, and can I go in? Oh yeah, I think that's a slightly better way to do it. It's a bit of a faff, and I'm not happy about the you'd think they could have a slightly better system than this. Right, that's in vertically now. There's no drive. Now, in my previous testing, I've cloned these 2 drives, one to the other, so they've both got the same UUID. So when I plug this into poor old macOS, it's probably going to have a bit of a wobble. Right, that's nicely in. Okay, so that goes down like that. There's no screws. This is the contacts for the fan. There's a fan there. Right, let's take that away and let's see what I think that I know. So, we've got the power input here. We've got a fan off and on. We've got two 40 gigabit per second interfaces here. Now, one of them is an uplink to your computer, as far as I can gather, and the other is a pass-through. In other words, this would connect to your computer. Your computer will then see the drives, and the computer could connect another device of 40 gigabits per second out of this, okay? And we've also got a USB 3 interface here, size type A, and we've also got an HDMI output here. So via this interface, we're connecting to the, let's say, the laptop or the, in this case, workstation, and I can have a second screen connected via here. But as I have a completely separate Thunderbolt dock, the idea is to use this purely as a 40 gigabit per second capable drive array. Now, this doesn't have any hardware in it to do striping or mirroring, so these will be seen as two separate drives under macOS or under Windows. And in this little flimsy guide, which is quite enough, it shows you how to add the drives under Windows, for example, and create them into a dynamic disk or stripe them in another way. And we have Mac OS instructions as well. We do here. So we're going to create a RAID 0 array, and then we're going to put an APFS file system onto it. Okay, the next bit is going to be that, and we're going to start off the copy and see how fast we can achieve that copy. Okay, so we have assembled the Acasis dual drive Thunderbolt 4 enclosure, and right now the results are a little bit on the lackluster side. First of all, I've formatted each of the 8 terabyte drives with an APFS file system on the Mac. As I suspected, when I put the 2 drives into the chassis and connected it to the Mac, it just didn't know what to do when both of the UUIDs of each drive were exactly the same, because I previously used a different product to clone one drive to the other and put those 2 cloned drives into the system. So it just didn't work. So I had to take one of the drives out, format the first drive, which again, when you sometimes format drives under the disk utility program under macOS, there's sometimes an issue. And indeed there was. I've had to do it multiple times. Eventually, I've now got a D1 and a D2 /volume/D1/volume/D2, and on their own, they're each pumping out at a disappointing, say 1300 megabytes per second. So I say disappointing because the drive itself, the native drive, is at least capable of 5,000 megabytes per second, and under a Windows directly attached M.2 drive system, I've had easily 5,000 megabytes per second read and write out of these drives, out of the 4 terabyte drives. So not a good start. We're now going to combine these 2 drives into a RAID, or a striped RAID array. No redundancy, but perhaps more speed. I'm going to give it another go. Okay, so we have created a non-hardware assisted, i.e. a striped RAID 0 array from the Apple workstation to the Acasis dual drive Thunderbolt 4 enclosure. The Apple system is capable of Thunderbolt 5, I've used the Thunderbolt 4 cable that they gave me in the box, connected to the Acasis system. Each drive is capable of at least 5,000 megabytes per second read and write. And the result is, ta-da, drum roll, about 2,700 megabytes per second on the face of it, read and write speed. Now, it's not the 40 gigabits that I was hoping for. However, it's not bad. So say that I have low expectations, but 2,700 megabytes per second will do me nicely. The current speed of the USB 10 gigabit per second connection, which is the TerraMaster connection, which is also populated with Lexar NM790 drives, is at best about 600 megabytes per second. So we've more than quadrupled the speed of the connection. So now I'm going to do a week or so of testing. I've cut over. I'm going to keep the existing data array of 16 terabytes, this array, which is 16 terabytes, and maybe I'll do something fancy at the end of the week, like with an rsync comparison. But prima facie, it's looking like a good product. The fan noise is very quiet, extremely quiet. And as you know, the size of this little device is dinky. And you could easily take it around as a portable device. You need the power supply as well. I haven't tested the other external outputs, which would be the USB-C output and the HDMI 4K screen output, because I still don't need them. And I'm just going to keep this as a disc only. It did say in the manual that if you use the screen outputs, the speed would be limited. So yeah, I think it's best to keep this £150 from AliExpress device as just a Thunderbolt 4 disc unit. But of course, the proof of the pudding will not just be the speed, but the reliability. So, you know, it needs to be a week of intense testing before I really give it the thumbs up. But so far, looking good.